Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ Review 337. I am Virtue, being joined by this week's elite panel of the review. Of course, Aaron Rift is here, Gino is here, and Big G, who said I can't be back, is already back. Now, we are on a Thursday, but he is in the house. What's going on, everybody? Big G, what's up?
Well, not too much. It's been a rough week again for me, but we're pushing through here, talking some wrestling with you guys. Got some good topics, so like I always say, let's get this ball rolling, baby.
Well, stay tuned. You know how this works. Gino, what's going on with you?
Honored to be here. Happy to be able to just respond to the topics and not have to worry about moderating, hosting, and looking forward to talking about these topics that we have for our viewers.
Well, if I freeze or something like that, you're going to have to jump in. So be ready. Don't act like you got it easy this week.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned. All right, Gino, I'll be back shortly. What's up, Aaron?
I'm happy to see Big G back. I wasn't sure we were ever going to have Big G back on the NoDQ review, and he did not even miss 1 week. So there you have it. Big G is back. Virtue is moderating tonight. Jeremy McGill is happy. We got some of our regulars in the chat room. Matt, Michael Wayne, Matthew, Ian. We're happy to have you guys on tonight. Should be a fun stream. Leave your comments and thoughts. We'll put some of the comments up on the stream. And feel free to super chat a question or comment. There's only 4 of us tonight, so maybe we'll be able to get through this a little bit faster than usual. But we'll see if Psycho Jet Black or a few others show up. All right, Virtue, let's go ahead and get this show going.
So this might have been something that was talked about like a few weeks in, but it's been 3 months since John Cena turned heel at Elimination Chamber. And let's evaluate what we think of John Cena's heel run. 3 months in at this point. He's had multiple matches. And, obviously he went on to WrestleMania to win and beat Cody. But Big G, everybody waited for years and years for John Cena to turn heel. Right, because I think he was heel as the Thugonomics gimmick, but then people started getting behind that, and pretty much he's been babyface the entire time until this year. And the whole Rock thing, right? Cody didn't sell his soul, so Cena turned, and that's turned into nothing. So really, John Cena's had this whole thing on his back, all the weight. And you hear WrestleMania was a letdown, but he's running with the gimmick that he's going to ruin wrestling. You have your AEW diehards. Hey, we're momentum 1.2 million with the max numbers, and our pay-per-views are great, and our wrestlers are the best in the world. WWE's on a downfall. Like, come on, John Cena is still a huge star. WWE's still making tons of money, selling out shows nonetheless at the ridiculous ticket prices that they have. And John Cena's front and center right now of all this. How's he doing, Big G? Let's evaluate.
Yeah, well, so for me, I think so far it's pretty good. I mean, nobody really expected him. Let's go back to the Elimination Chamber. Nobody expected him to turn heel. We thought we were going to get the happy-go-lucky, this is my retirement tour. We're going to do it the good way. And, like you said, Cody didn't sell his soul. So Rock or Cena did go to WrestleMania. The match I thought was pretty decent between the two. I don't think Travis Scott needed to be there. Like, I thought Travis Scott was more like hanging with the Rock, but I guess, Cena's a former rapper, Travis Scott, he's a rapper, so kind of got the connection there, but was unnecessary for him to be there. Then, he had his last match with Orton, which I thought was pretty good. They had their one final match, both from the OVW class of 2002, killing it. Both of them at that age, and having a match like that was good. So, and Cena said he's gonna ruin wrestling. And then we go to Saturday night's main event against R-Truth. R-Truth, being the comedic character, facing his childhood hero. I'm thinking it's going pretty good right now. I don't think there really has been any big mistakes that have happened. But I'm curious to see where this is gonna end. I think his last date is like mid-December, and if he truly wants to ruin wrestling, he's not gonna lose that title. He's gonna have to relinquish. He's gonna take it home with him, like you said, or either that or he will relinquish it and they'll have a new champion. But I don't see that happening. I think he's gonna take the title with him, and then they'll make, he'll take like a replica home with him, and then WWE will have another tournament for the WWE Championship. So
And
and
see, when I see Big G, when I see comments like City by the Bay saying he's underwhelmed and the R-Truth match was a waste of time, me thinking the way I do, it's whatever John Cena wants to present as ruin wrestling, it's working.
yeah,
When he's making fans mad, upset, like to me, it's not working as if attendance starts going down and they can't sell out arenas. Now I know, the Netflix numbers keep dipping worldwide, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's the stagnant time of wrestling anyway. Dude, AEW has to tout 1.2 million adding Max just to get over 1 million. That's just where people watch wrestling on social media with clips and YouTube. So therefore, TV numbers don't look the same like they used to. But if the arenas are selling out and they're making tons of money, and even AEW selling out pay-per-views and getting 100,000 plus pay-per-view buys, something's still working because the marks are still buying the product.
Yeah.
So
I'm
Cena
intrigued.
is ruining wrestling when people are complaining about it.
I'm intrigued how this match is going to come out Money in the Bank with him teaming with Logan Paul. Like, if you really want to hate John Cena, team him with Logan Paul, because the people will boo the shit out of him.
Yeah. I mean, I hear, it's so funny the way people dissect wrestling. Like, well, Cena's not a natural heel. We can tell he's acting, he's playing a heel. Well, if wrestling fans are so smart, even if a great heel is making you think that's how they really are, Drew McIntyre, versus people thinking Cena's just acting as a heel. But wrestling fans are so smart, you should know they're acting no matter what. Right? So anyway, okay, Big G, thanks for your input. Gino, I'm going to come over to you now. The thing is, I'd rather have Roman be back in front and center. I love the bloodline stuff. But I'm going to, Cena's kind of a guy. He's a legend. This is the last time we're really going to see him do this. So I'm going to support him. And if people get pissed on what he's doing, I'm going to be the guy that says, well, I kind of like it. And the fact that you don't like it makes me like it even more. And granted, that's my mojo. What do you think?
Yes, thank you, Virtue. Well said, Big G, as well. So I'm obviously wearing the Cena Creamsicle Buccaneers shirt that they had in Tampa for the last couple of nights when they had the Tampa event. Obviously, it's no secret. I'm a Cena guy. No matter what he does, he would literally have to do some pretty vile stuff for me to even consider booing him, let alone not loving him. But as far as the question about his heel turn, 3 months in, we've had enough time to kind of see where they're taking us with this and how it's going. And I just wanted to say that, a Cena heel turn is not really something that anybody wanted right now. Maybe we wanted it 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Maybe we wanted it 5 years ago. But you don't announce a retirement tour and expect to get booed. Now, I think I liken that back to Kobe Bryant, may he rest in peace. When he announced that it was going to be his final year, he didn't get booed at any of the away arenas he went to. People went there to cheer him, to witness greatness. And that's what's happening. People are still cheering Cena. People are still all about, they want to, I mean, I guess it might be an interesting case because I'm obviously a Cena guy, but people are still buying his merch. He's making more Fruity Pebble colored shirts than ever before, and people are buying it, whether we're marks or whether we aren't. It doesn't matter. We're buying it. You wouldn't believe the amount of pictures I have that's just got Cena merch from my angle. There's Cena merch everywhere. What they've done so far with him, he honestly didn't even have to have needed to be a heel here. We could have had Cody versus Cena, which is what we all kind of predicted going into WrestleMania season, and they could have both been faces. Or maybe we could have even got a Cody heel turn, which would have been elevated by working with Cena. The best thing that I think we've gotten so far out of this, and the only real heel Cena type of match that we've got, was the one against R-Truth. Everybody wants to be mad at it all you want. He does say he's trying to ruin wrestling, but we couldn't have gotten R-Truth coming out to his theme song, doing the face stuff, face Cena gimmick, unless we had heel Cena. So that's like really the only thing that's kind of played out any differently than it would have if Cena was a face. Oh, but then everybody would say, Gino, we had face Randy Orton versus heel Cena. I would challenge you. You think Randy Orton's going to get booed in St. Louis over Cena? That wouldn't have happened. We could have had a face Cena and a heel Randy Orton, and Randy still would have gotten cheered, and Cena still would have gotten booed. The Cena sucks. So really nothing would have changed with that. Cena is doing his best, though, right? It just feels like it was a shock value thing, and it's kind of worn off. The further they go with him being a heel, I feel like the harder it will be to make him a believable face character when inevitably that does happen. Maybe it won't. Maybe he will right off into the sunset ruining wrestling. But the Boston SmackDown is in August 15th. His TV show, Peacemaker, season 2, or whatever, however you want to consider that, debuts the week after. So as a WBD stockholder, I would say he should be a clear face by that point. The interviews that he's doing are in real, non-heel, non-kayfabe fashion. So it's not even like he's fully committed to the gimmick outside of the ring, like you mentioned, a Drew McIntyre.
Well, The Rock didn't either. The Rock hasn't been doing that either.
And that's been frustrating, frankly. Are we getting Dwayne? Are we getting The Rock? Are we getting Final Boss? Like, come on. Like, I miss the days where you just committed to the gimmick on and offline. But the things that are still giving me hope is he wants to ruin wrestling. If he leaves with the title and Logan's the champion by that point, I can think of no better way for him to have ruined wrestling other than that. The last real champion gimmick is fun too. I will say that. But overall, most of the stuff that they've done so far, maybe not what they're gonna do, but most of the stuff they've done so far could have been done with a face Cena.
And what I think the only thing that's missing to me, they'll never commit to this kind of stuff. He should come out and call the fans marks. Everything that the fans hate, the smart fans especially, say that stuff. The stuff that I always tell fans. He should say, you don't have Roman and Rock this year because of me. Because I'm here on my last year getting the spotlight, and Dwayne decided to give it to me and walk away. And for 2 years in a row, you're not getting that match. He should come out and expose everything the fans aren't getting, and it's because of him and his last run. That's what this run is missing. That little bit, like the real John Cena, when we have seen glimpses of it on the reality shows, if he's really like he is, and he has rules for his house and stuff, and that could be gimmick and fake for that show. But if Cena is kind of a real eccentric type snob, rich guy, that stuff is what he should present on TV a little bit more. Mm-hmm. That to me would be great. So if he could do anything a little bit more to really piss fans off, that's what I would want to see. Aaron, over to you.
I think that's a very fair assessment of Cena's run. I've enjoyed parts of it. Like, there are other things in my mind that I think would have been ideal for this, maybe somewhat of a character change. Like, I wasn't expecting him to come out there and be wearing the colors and all that, but for the most part, I have enjoyed it. When he's on TV, I'm definitely watching, and the numbers are still good for WWE. People are invested in the John Cena storyline, heel or face. I'd like to see him get more heat, though. I feel like he's coming out there and he's getting cheered. I would have had him do more to R-Truth, and I think there are things, like you said, that can be done to piss people off even more. I think they gotta go all out with it. I feel like right now they're somewhere in the middle with John Cena. Like, he's technically a heel, but also he's coming out there with the merchandise. He's still coming out there with the old music. I feel like they really got to take it to the next level with him and just do something completely shocking beyond what we already saw at Elimination Chamber. Like, I loved that turn at Elimination Chamber, and the promos after that have been good. WrestleMania, I thought, was a bit of a letdown because of the Travis Scott angle. And then the Backlash match I enjoyed. I did like the Backlash match. I would have liked to have seen Cena win clean at Backlash. I wasn't the biggest fan of having all the interference. Like, let John Cena beat Randy Orton clean in St. Louis. That would have gotten heat. People would have been pissed about that if Cena beat him clean in the middle, 1, 2, 3, no shenanigans or anything. Like, Randy Orton can take the loss. He'd be okay. But it would be great for Cena's character. People would be pissed off that Cena beat Randy Orton clean in Orton's hometown. So there are a few things I might have done a little bit different. But for the most part, I think it's working well for WWE. And as Matthew pointed out, the Saturday night's main event rating was the highest by far of the 3 Saturday night's main event shows. And I think you attribute that to John Cena because he's the WWE champion, and maybe Logan Paul too. And now they got them in a tag team coming up. I'm hoping that this was a call by WWE because of the backlash towards Travis Scott, and they decided, okay, let's go with Logan Paul instead. If that's the case, I definitely think that was the right move. Big G, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, because you were talking about how he should have changed his music and stuff like that. But remember, if you go back to I think Brussels, it was Brussels, and he said, yeah, it's all storyline, but us fans don't deserve a change. We were expecting him to come out with new gear, new music, but he said we didn't deserve that, because he was in
he would have got
an
cheered
abusive
for that
relationship.
He might have got cheered for like a cool heel change with new look and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean
fans are idiots, right? They'll
idiots,
cheer Bronson Reed one more time to CM Punk or babyface. Like because he's getting his push. So it's cool.
This is what I think. You don't have to care what I think, but Cena comes out. He gets that initial reaction with the cheering because it's his theme song, and then I think they kept the theme song because they want the fans to keep on doing, the John Cena sucks, sing along with that. But you go to Seth Rollins. Let me go to Seth Rollins real quick. He's a heel now, but they still sing his songs, and then what was it? They were they were humming his song. And they were saying, F you, Rollins. And then Rollins was like, you guys don't know what you guys want, and then the fans go back to singing Rollins. And then, like you said, with the Bronson Reed thing, even Jacob Fatu, I think it's because they're big men and they want to see them crush the little man, beat them up to a pulp. I'm going to say us men, we like the violence. We want to see somebody literally get killed on TV. So, but that's just my thought on it.
Yeah, Gino. Mute. You're on mute.
You muted.
Thank you. Anyway, so I appreciate that, guys. Sorry about that. So Cena had mentioned to Henry backstage at WrestleMania, because Henry referenced it on CVV's podcast with him, that Henry really wants to have a match with Cena. And Cena had told him that it's up to you, right? Cena is picking his opponents. And from all accounts, it seems that Cena is picking who he's getting to face. And he's going to do that if people make themselves undeniable. I think he gave Truth that, match, that bone, if you will. So because it would almost be a wasted opportunity to not have the guy who's been using his moves and made his whole career or gimmick the last 5 years about being his biggest fan and all that stuff. So I think that the guys that we're going to see are the ones who are making themselves undeniable, to use a Cody Rhodes phrase. And I think that's why we're getting Logan. And I think that they're also doing that, like you said, because he's going to be booed. He's not going to be cheered when he's on a team with Logan. So it's kind of, they're trying to make us boo him more. Won't work on me, but I do think that has to be said.
In order to be a heel with wrestling, because it's cool to cheer when a wrestler's getting pushed, even if it's as a heel, like Bronson Reed, one more time, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like you have to have something controversial. Hulk Hogan, Logan Paul, and what he's done on social media in the past, or on YouTube. And then you get booed because you're legit. You do something that's not, that people don't like.
Yeah.
That's the world we live in.
Well.
You literally have to be that bad of a person to be that, to get booed.
Yeah.
Yes, Aaron.
Virtue, this reminds me of, this is topical right now, the Muhammad Hassan storyline. That's a new Dark Side of the Ring episode. I loved that character as a heel, and I was upset when it got canceled, when
I
they
agree.
got that heat. Like, they should have just taken the risk. I know the sponsors were not happy and they didn't want to upset anybody, but man, he had so much heat at that time. And every time he came out there, I was at WrestleMania when you heard the voice at the beginning of the song, like the whole place erupted in boos. And then Hogan came out there and beat him up, and everybody loved it. Like, people wanted to see Muhammad Hassan get his ass kicked. And
now, Aaron, let's go to modern day. And this is just hypothetical because we really don't know what happened. But let's say Intuit Dome, because WWE Raw sold out. That place has kind of got real good acoustics. It's real loud. Just say on a whim, Alberto Del Rio walked through that curtain and his music hit. You think he's going to get crickets, or do you think that place would boo him out of the building?
They'd probably cheer him.
What do you?
They'd probably cheer, yeah.
What reaction do you really? Not that it's going to happen, but just what reaction do you think he would get, and if nobody expected it?
The initial reaction, if it was the same music, he'd get that pop. But then as soon as they see him walk out, he'd probably get booed.
So in reality, though, for the scumbag that he is, you would think as soon as people know it's him, they just get up and walk away, make no sound. But I guarantee you, like the marks people are, he would get booed, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's just,
yeah.
But that's the world we live in. In order to be a true heel in wrestling, you literally almost have to be a true heel in real life.
Yeah.
Because the smart fans love everything. They love a good heel run. Look at Roman and the Bloodline, because it's, they're finally being what they've always could have been. And it's just wrestling fans are too smart to everything, and that hurts sometimes. They want to play along, they want to be part of the show. And if they really do want to be part of the show, they'd know when to boo and when to cheer.
Well, now with Netflix coming out the show in the summertime, they're really gonna peel back the freaking curtain and.
Yep. All right. Well, back to Aaron, because we are going to move to the next topic. So, anything else, Aaron, before we move on?
Well, I just wanted to say that I overall would say Cena's heel run has been solid, but I don't think it's been as good as Roman Reigns' heel run. It's
agree.
not at that level, nor do I think it was at the level of Hollywood Hogan during the peak of the NWO, but it's been good. Definitely better than Steve Austin's heel run. And Austin's heel run actually hurt WWE business. They went downhill a bit after Austin turned. With Cena, things are still doing well. And I think that it's been pretty good. And, there's still time to see how it plays out. We still got potential matches with Roman Reigns and CM Punk and maybe a few other people before he finally turns face or whatever he's going to do. And maybe they have some twists and turns. We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure they're thinking about it right now. They're discussing possibilities. What are we going to do for SummerSlam? And what are we going to do for Clash in Paris and Survivor Series? I'm sure they're brainstorming and coming up with stuff as we speak, and we'll see how it plays out.
All right, next topic. So speaking of heels, he's been out injured for a while, but Bronson Reed has shown up at the Saturday night's main event, and he's now part of this faction. I remember, I was like, oh, it's going to be Sami Zayn. It makes so much sense, and who knows if that faction will get bigger down the road. But for now, they actually do have another member, and I remember some dirt sheet guy out there, well, they're pretty content with Heyman and Breakker and Rollins. Here they are. No dirt sheet predicted it. Bronson Reed is part of their group, and he obviously squashed CM Punk, and you're getting the one more time chance. So, what do people think about this? Granted, it's Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins, and the two big guys. So there you go. You got an established faction now. Gino, I'm going to start with you on this one. Right? He beat up Seth Rollins pretty bad a year ago. And now, hey, everything's good. And I think somebody, I don't know if it was Russo or Stevie Richards, they pointed out something pretty good on this. Why couldn't they have made Bronson Reed join that group with Paul Heyman being the guy to have him do it? But then Rollins was kind of questioning it, like almost Heyman did it behind Rollins' back. And you could have some animosity between Rollins and Bronson Reed still, but yet, Rollins was just kind of accepting it, but confused, where you could at least be like, yeah, he should, because he beat the crap out of him. But instead, they're all kumbaya, just like that. That's wrestling does stuff like that. Enemies become friends and blah, blah, blah. But what do you think here, Gino?
Thank you, Virtue. So No Dirt Sheet predicted it, but I certainly called it. You can check the tapes on the No DQ review when we were making those predictions. So obviously, I'm really happy to see him. I've been a big Bronson Reed fan since before the wave of tsunamis, no pun intended, against Seth Rollins. I feel like Seth can lean into the fact that he hates Roman and Punk so much that Bronson agreeing to be on the new bloodline side of the war games was enough to make him feel like, okay, you know, this is, we can be on the same side. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And then in no coincidental fashion, Bronson went right after CM Punk when he made his re-debut. They played a little bit into the Braun was trying to protect Seth. Like, what is this guy doing here? The last time, I remember him beating you up. I'm going to try and protect you. So it looks like the animosity is going to be between the Brawns. So we could still kind of get an animosity situation. Seth being such a smart character, like he's picking the people that he's going to be able to not only elevate and for to be the future of the business, but also like you could argue there aren't two other guys on the roster that are going to be like, you don't want to step to them in a dark alley. Like they're going to hurt you. The spear is devastating. And now the tsunami is devastating. Like I look forward to seeing all of the people that Seth Rollins doesn't like getting targeted by him. I don't really, I want the good guys to obviously prevail, but that's going to be entertaining storytelling. Sometimes it's okay to have the villains win, and that helps push the issue. Yes, Virtue.
Gino, they do have one guy on their roster, just not on that show, that he steps up to that ring with Breakker and Reed in there. Fatu. Place would go nuts. Assuming they were pushing him babyface. But so they got somebody, but it's like not even close right now, right? Maybe that's something in the future. So
Didn't Fatu and Braun have a little moment during the Rumble or something? I feel like they went face to face for a second and the crowd was hyped up. But like WWE has to know that they're a lot of their money and a lot of their crowd excitement is with Fatu on one side of the ring and XYZ on the other side of the ring, because we just want to see, we want to cheer Fatu. We love his craziness, but we're not here to talk about Fatu right now. As far as Bronson is concerned, he's a big guy. He deserves it. I like that they didn't take away his big moniker. I think they were toying with that, but Heyman is referring to him to that again. And I think that Heyman being the mouthpiece for Bronson makes a lot more sense than him being the mouthpiece for Braun. And it's really tough to say Bronson and Braun, go back and forth and make sure I'm talking about the right guy. But because Braun was doing great on the mic, he was even a singles champion without any of this help. Bronson has not had that success yet. So it almost makes more sense for Bronson to be that monster. Now, this was kind of, people were suspecting a copy and paste type of thing for the Evolution faction, except for, Heyman's not wrestling like Ric Flair was. But, these two are obviously the future, but they're obviously still monsters. Neither one of them is like the young blue chip guy, but I'm fine with this. It's almost like J&J Security if you could take them seriously. B&B Security. So I'm looking forward to seeing what.
Well, you could say Bron Breakker is
a
still young and blue chipper, potential big
yes.
name eventer. But again, so you're setting up the faction, right? You got the three, Rollins, Reed, and Breakker, and then you look ahead and who would combat against them. Well, you still got Punk, you still got Zayn, and then you figure Roman, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So you have a feud brewing, and I'm still saying you could still have Zayn join them and make it even bigger. Now, probably won't, you got three guys now, but you can always add a fourth. But I'm still going to hold on to that. And if it, I'd say 3-4 months from now, if it doesn't seem like that's going to happen, then I'll give up on it. But maybe they're waiting for Roman to get back in the mix. And that's how Sammy joins them, taking out Roman, because there'd be more history there. But we'll see how big this faction actually gets. But just with the two of the three guys are already pretty big. So
I hope it doesn't get NWO crazy.
No.
Big,
if they added any more 4 wrestlers, so it would be one more max. If it happens, might not, but beyond that, that would probably cap it off. But like I said, It would be an interesting dynamic for like a Sami Zayn to eventually turn, because if he never does it, everybody's like, yeah, he's babyface for life, and then he does it, fans are shocked. Big G, what do you think?
Yeah, it was interesting. I wasn't expecting, we did toy around a couple weeks ago, mentioning Sammy possibly joining, but no idea that Bronson was ready to come back. Wasn't expecting it. It was a shock to me. Like I was like, oh snap, Bronson came back. Like you said, joined the faction with Seth and Bron. I think Bronson needed this, push. I mean, yeah, he had the feud with Seth Rollins over a year ago. And I think maybe, kayfabe wise or even in real life, Heyman saw something in him. And, he was like, well, later down the road when you come back, we'll need you in this faction. And perfect place for him. And, Bron Breakker, Gino mentioned it. He was the IC champ for a while, been on his own. So, I mean, you needed, I guess, two heavies. And, Braun, and both are athletic. Braun, he can run the ropes, what they say, like 23 miles per hour. Bronson can run, Bronson's athletic too for being a big guy. So it'll definitely be interesting to see where this goes within the next month or so. With Rollins being in the Money in the Bank, I'm throwing this out here. I think Rollins is going to win, now that he's got Bronson and Braun with him. And like
Big
you said,
G, speaking of that, you brought
Yeah.
up that win that Rollins had to get to Money in the Bank. And how just like Punk came out, right? That's what they like doing now. Punk coming
Yeah.
out late in the show for the pop.
yeah.
Punk really wanted to get to Rollins. Wouldn't he have come out earlier to cost him the shot?
See,
at
that's
the
what
Money
I
in the
was
Bank?
thinking.
Now,
'Cause,
is Punk going to be in a Money in the Bank qualifier or no?
No.
It would have made sense if
They
Punk
have
was still going to be able to qualify himself, because then I'm going to get him in that match. That's just weird to me. Like,
I know they have one more SmackDown's men's match qualifying tomorrow. And then I think, is it 2 more spots for the men's on Raw?
well, don't they usually take all the
Or one more
losers and give
spot.
them a shot at the last spot? Don't they usually?
They
do
might.
that
I don't know
too?
how they're gonna do it, but I know tomorrow on SmackDown it's Fatu and 2 other guys in a triple threat, and then Monday I think they have 1 or 2 more triple threats. But anyways, yeah,
And
like,
Roman. Well, we're going to talk about Roman here in a little bit, so I don't want to get ahead of myself.
but yeah, and see, I even thought Roman might show up on Raw.
We'll save that thought.
But yeah, like CM Punk coming out after the match was like bizarre. If like you really hated Rollins, because Jay came out, but he got beat down, and then you'd figured, okay, Punk's gonna come out and save Jay, but I don't know. I think they wanted to wait for that last minute just to get that last big pop before the show ended with CM Punk. So
yeah, Rollins is in the match. So all right,
but,
Aaron, over to you.
yeah.
Oh, anything else, Big G?
No, I was gonna say Gina wrote in the comments, and I agree with him, saying Punk will probably cost Seth the briefcase. But in the back of my head, like that's a possibility. But like in the back of my head, I think Seth is gonna win somehow, some way. But.
Yeah. All right, Aaron.
I'm a big fan of Bronson Reed being part of Seth Rollins' group. I liked the angle they did on Saturday night's main event. And I do agree that it should just stick to these guys now. Maybe add Becky Lynch. I think Gino may have mentioned that in the chat room. I would like to see Becky part of the group, and beyond that, leave it as it is. I don't know if they're going to be called the Dangerous Coalition, but I like the Dangerous Alliance. Use the Dangerous Alliance and have it be the 3 guys plus Heyman and Becky Lynch, and call it a day. You're all set, and everything will be good moving forward. Seth Rollins winning Money in the Bank, I think, would be very interesting, and we'll have to see who the last couple of people are that get added to the match. But right now, he seems like the favorite to win it. Have him become the new Money in the Bank briefcase holder. He cashed in very famously at WrestleMania 31. I was at that show, and that was a great moment. So I'm hopeful that they'll have something good for Money in the Bank, something memorable. Have a winner that's going to make the briefcase feel more important, somebody that can elevate it. And I think Seth Rollins would be a nice choice for that. Although you could go with one of the young up and comers. We'll see what they do at this point.
Are you going to hold on to Becky Lynch joining that group like you did Naomi joining the
Yes,
Bloodline?
absolutely.
Okay.
And it will probably
and I'll hold on
same.
to Sami Zayn, so we both have something. Maybe one of us will be able to be like, yeah, we got it right.
I think she's probably not going to be part of the group, but I will.
I would actually take that over. I would take that over Sami Zayn because I've always wanted to, not the little tease they did in 2019, but the actual dynamic of husband and wife, heels on the show together, pissing people off. Like I actually would prefer that. So.
Yeah, maybe one veteran wins Money in the Bank and then one up and comer wins the women's Money in the Bank match, or the other one. We'll see what they do. But yeah, I'd like to see a veteran win one of the briefcases just to make the Money in the Bank win feel important, and then put it on one of the young up and comers. All
right. Well, before we get to the main event and talk about what's up with Roman Reigns, this topic is just our filler topic. It's either gonna piss some people off and it's gonna make some people laugh hysterically. But I want to talk about it. Big G, who had and this is based, like, you got your tribalistic fans that only like WWE, if that's what they want, whatever. And the fans that like AEW, they're going to both defend their own company. But who has more momentum right now? Now, there's a lot of different factors here because you'll see the AEW fans saying our pay-per-views are great, our wrestling's better, and we got 1.2 million combined with Max, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And then you got our match star ratings are higher. And then you got, WWE fans, obviously. We got the bigger stars, the bigger national appeal. We make more money. Sellouts. We can sell out arenas with ridiculous price tickets, blah, 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 blah. Even though TV ratings are on a slip. But who has more momentum? I don't know how else to talk about AEW that's interesting to me.
Yeah,
I mean, this is it. I'm making something up, but what do you think? You first.
So, well, so for the first 5 years, I was the biggest AEW fan, and I mean WWE as well. But within the last year or so, I just really haven't. I still pay attention to AEW, like on X and stuff like that, and I just see what's going on. But like, I don't know. I feel like AEW really hasn't done anything to move forward. They have their pay-per-views on Prime Video now, so I mean, I thought it was supposed to go on Max. Max customers were supposed to have it like 50% off, or have a discount for the pay-per-views. But that, I don't know if that's still in fruition or not. But I'm gonna go with WWE. You mentioned the ticket sales. Ticket sales are still are hella expensive, but they're still quote unquote selling out arenas. This partnership with TNA, with the NXT is working out great. You had Trick Williams beat Joe Hendry for the title last Saturday. So you have that working relationship, and then you have them acquiring AAA, and they have a pay-per-view next weekend along with Money in the Bank. So you have two pay-per-views in one day by WWE. When was the last time AEW had two pay-per-views in one day?
So when can we say AEW had the momentum? Obviously, when they were new, and it was
when they were new,
the boring Vince McMahon era, right?
So remember, AEW was supposed to be the alternative, and when they started in 2019, WWE wasn't really doing all that great. They had all this stuff going on, so it really was the alternative. But somewhere, maybe when like Roman Reigns came back, the momentum shifted, especially when the momentum shifted when Cody Rhodes came back. When Cody Rhodes came back.
AEW had a little bit with Punk's debut too for a little while. So they had momentum.
They had momentum, right?
Yeah.
And that's when I was still watching. But I feel like, I don't know if it's this Death Rider storyline that's going on that's got me all not interested or something. Like, I feel like AEW has storylines, but they focus more on the wrestling, whereas WWE tries to focus on both storylines and the wrestling. But
I haven't seen anybody yet say AEW. I mean, I'm not
so,
expecting it.
but
I was just wanting to see if I could have baited somebody into that.
but like I said, the momentum shifted definitely when Cody came, and then when Punk came back, I think they really lost momentum. You know, but like I
But
said,
you know, some people say it was a bad WrestleMania. The Rock, it never showed up
if
to
it was
fulfill
okay,
that story.
so this has
Man.
got me. This is all right. So if it was that bad of a WrestleMania, why in the hell did they cancel from New Orleans and considering going back to Las Vegas?
So they could
Because
do it
they
right
owe them
the
a
next
better
time.
WrestleMania.
So they could do it right the next
Huh?
time. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe Rock
Well,
feels
right,
like he
but
needs
like
to
they're
deliver.
considering
It is
like
weird.
they're even considering like a couple WrestleManias in Vegas. Like you know how people have like homes in Las Vegas, like Jennifer Lopez, or you know they do shows at they have their shows in Las Vegas specifically. So
Imagine
know.
what The Rock thinks that he made that announcement in New Orleans and then they changed it.
yeah, I mean they're
That's
doing
just
Money in
so
the Bank,
weird.
and they're doing Money in the Bank in New Orleans like next year
Ooh.
too. But you know, yeah. So I feel like WWE, even though some of their shows haven't been doing too well. I know like last week's Raw wasn't all that great, and you know what was it like? SmackDown was supposed to go back to 2 hours, but now they're saying it's gonna stay at 3 hours because USA likes the numbers, so they're gonna keep on doing it. But honestly, you know, we've always said it. You know, WWE is the freaking juggernaut in the wrestling business, and
All right,
nobody can catch up to it. AEW thinks they can catch up to it, but
an obvious choice for you, WWE. All right, Gino, speak on
Yeah.
this.
And I will make sure to unmute myself this time. So the short answer, WWE has more momentum. Period of discussion. AEW's next big event is in July. WWE is going to be having had multiple big events by that time. WWE has all this big stuff coming. You know, we mentioned earlier that AEW has the best fans in the world, and they have to combine you know, kind of viewership things just to get over that million. They're not. I would imagine they're not drawing money. They have such a big, like, surplus of money to be spent, not because of their earnings, but because of Tony Khan. So that is honestly one of the reasons why I feel like they haven't had to make many changes, is because they're just skating by, getting what they want. And as long as Dave keeps, you know, throwing 5 stars out like they're freaking candy at Halloween, they're not going to make any changes. The biggest like thing in AEW right now isn't even happening inside the ring. It's Darby Allin climbing Mount Everest. So if that's your biggest kind of thing that you have going on, like that's not necessarily the best sign. So no need to make a long-winded answer. WWE has more momentum. AEW can do some things and kind of get back to that level, but right now it's WWE versus Darby Allin climbing Mount Everest at this point. So it's
and so another thing, AEW, like I said, when they first started, they might have had some, obviously, when they were up against that era of WWE, pre-Roman bloodline too.
mm-hmm.
The Punk signing, right? They had a little bit there, and even around the first Wembley show because of all the people that were there. And it's just funny because it's like they've had momentum clearly, at least a little bit, against a huge juggernaut. They got a TV deal, but yet here we are basically talking about how it's not even close. So, Aaron, what do you think here? I mean, we want the good competition. We want them to be good. But I just can't believe we're at 2025 and WWE is just all cylinders. And it's post Vince McMahon. It's the new Triple H era. And here we are. Nobody in the chats even said AEW. Where's the AEW fans? Go ahead.
I will say this. I think AEW is doing better than they were, but for people that are acting like WWE is on the decline, I'm not seeing it just yet. WrestleMania wasn't as good as WrestleMania 40, but they're still doing great business. And I think that they are a very well-oiled machine. It's going to take 2 things for AEW to really be able to turn things around momentum-wise. First of all, I think they need to make some creative changes. And we are going to be talking about this on an upcoming edition of the NoDQ Roundtable. In fact, it will be the next one going up on the channel, so stay tuned. We're going to be talking about AEW and what they can potentially do to become more competitive with WWE. But I think a lot of it comes down to branding and getting people to want to spend money on the product beyond your diehard fans that will, let's face it, buy every pay-per-view no matter what, and will watch the show if it's 5 hours long. They'll watch it if it's 10 hours long, 15 hours long. You know, I think AEW needs to focus on trying to draw in new fans and build their audience, and there's several things they can do for that. That'll be a sign that AEW is really turning it around when they can get their attendance numbers up. They seem to be a little bit better than they were, but still not great. All in, they're not even close to filling up that place. If they can fill up that place, then maybe that's a sign things are starting to change for them for the better. And then the other thing is WWE, if they free fall, if they turn off fans. And yeah, there's a few fans out there that are rumbling, that are angry, but there's always going to be the critics out there. And I think it's a little premature to say that the Triple H era is on the decline. I don't think that's happening. They got so many shows, and yeah, SmackDown is apparently staying at 3 hours, which sucks, but let's be real here. If the numbers were bad, USA Network would not want the 3 hours. The numbers are holding up, and USA Network wants the 3 hours. People are watching. If they weren't watching, there wouldn't be the 3 hours of SmackDown. So I think WWE is doing very well. AEW is showing a little bit of life, but I think there's still more that needs to be done. Now, City by the Bay sent in a $2 super chat, so thank you for that. City by the Bay says, AEW's pay-per-view, best wrestling product, in my opinion. TV, different story. I agree with you with that. The pay-per-views have been really good. I've enjoyed the pay-per-views, and yes, I know I'm catering to the diehards virtue when I say this.
So, I have a question for you.
Okay.
And City by the Bay, and anybody, because I don't watch them. Tell me why you enjoy the pay-per-views for AEW so much. Like, just that, is it the work?
I'm
I think it's the
entertained
pure
by it.
wrestling.
I enjoyed Anarchy in the Arena, which was just an absolute train wreck, but it was fun. Like, it was never boring. There was always things happening. It kept me glued. Like, I prefer that. I prefer all the craziness as opposed to like just guys doing rest holds for 20 minutes. Like, and you know what? I'm not the biggest fan of like all the over the top gymnastics, but I'll take that over guys doing rest holds for 20 minutes. Gino?
Yeah, well, speaking of gymnastics, I wanted to mention this earlier, but then I saw the super chat come in, so I figured it fit here better. The Olympics has the best athletes in the world. AEW's touting they have the best wrestlers in the world. But still, the NBA Finals, which I would compare to WWE, is drawing more viewers than qualifying stuff for the Olympics. So you can have the best people. It doesn't mean people have a reason to watch. There has to be a reason to watch other than just, again, the visual noise of the non-narrative reason for the guys fighting.
Nice. You ready to move on to the main event?
All right, let's do it.
So we're going to talk Roman Reigns. And, you know, obviously we hear things, you know, he comes back for the big events and then he has all his time off. But, I have to question him. Like, as a worker for himself and his family, to get paid all that money for limited dates and to be off a lot, that's great for him, right? So this has nothing to do with that. But I know all these wrestlers do have egos. And I almost just wonder if there's part of him that he sees, Rollins getting this push and this treatment with Heyman and in the new group, Cena's last run. And, I've seen him put Roman over the last couple times they wrestled. But part of me is thinking he's got to be like, man, this is my yard. I need to come and take it back. Because even if he's going to go to Hollywood and try that out and be gone from WWE for a while, you got to think he wants to still go out on top. And he was just kind of in a secondary main event, although it was great at WrestleMania. He wasn't the night 2 guy. He won his Ula follow back, right? Even last fall, we thought he was going to still be wanting to go for his title with Cody with some of the vignettes and promos and stuff they did. And now he's going to go, when he comes back, I'm sure he's going to meddle with Rollins' group again. But, like, I think he's above that. And I'm talking reality, real life. Joe, looking at his character and his legacy, he's got to be like, man, I'm coming back. I need some meat. I need something. I got to get mixed up with Cena, with Cody again, Punk with the title on the line, something. What does everybody think? Because I think he's that kind of guy. He wants to get people like his cousins and his family over. But he's still, like, wrestlers have big egos. I mean, Cena's doing one last run. He didn't have to. He's doing it. He's a champ. Broke the record, the WWE record. Roman, I'm telling you, man, he's got to be wanting to come back and get that yard again. He probably had goosebumps that night where he said, this is my yard now, when people didn't even know how great he could be yet. Still got that reaction. I'm sure that he wants to come out and dominate again. Lesnar did it. Would always come back and be on the top for a while. Gina, I'm going to start with you. I really think I don't know if he wants to, but do you think he wants to? Like, not us fans wanting him back. I think he needs to come back and claim the WWE. And that could be what's missing, right? That could be what's missing for some people because the bloodline was so hot. And then next thing you know, even him coming back and beating Solo for the Ula Fala, it just was like, okay, now he's the original tribal chief. What next? Gino. I'm kind of criticizing Roman Reigns here. The guy that plays him, right? Who would have thought that? This guy he should know the fans need him. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And I would argue you're not necessarily criticizing him, you're criticizing him not being on your TV screen more. And that is a very fair criticism. The people that we like, whether they're heels or whether they're faces, we want to see them on our TV. It's the reason why people are tuning in when John Cena is there. It's the reason why people are tuning in when CM Punk is there. This is all happening. As far as your question to me, like, what does he maybe want? I mean, if he's getting, like he said to Seth Rollins, I get paid 10 times as much as you and I work 10 times as less. Now, if he's still getting paid the same amount, whether he wrestles or whether he stays at home, I mean, where's the motivation to go back? He probably feels that his bloodline and the ripple effects that, it's literally indirectly related to Fatu. Jay's the champion, all of these things. Now they got JC coming in there. Like he that might be him saying, this is how I gave back to the business. I went out on my back and Cody at the WrestleMania. He had a smile on his face because obviously he was happy for the business, but I'm sure his workload was going to get a lot less. He worked for 4 years, very hard, took us through the pandemic era. He's on my Mount Rushmore strictly because of that. So I give him credit for that. But at the same time, there were plenty of other people who were working just as many, if not more dates. I mean, crap, Dominic Mysterio wrestled the most matches out of anybody a year or two ago. And he's not getting paid like that. And he's still having to travel and do all this stuff. It feels like Roman, as long as he's healthy from his disease and that's not, coming back, like, we want to see him back, but maybe he's just enjoying time with his family. Again, that bloodline ripple effect. Maybe he's letting Jay's title reign breathe. He's coming back on Raw. That's the show that Jay's on. It makes no sense that he would be anywhere in WWE and not be coming for the main title of that show. So
is he advertised anytime soon or no?
Yeah, Raw. He's coming back this Monday at Raw.
Is that true? Okay. I always heard June, but I just didn't know if that was just a rumor, an expectation, or the truth. But yeah.
Well, I mean, who knows for sure, but I'm pretty sure they showed a graphic on Monday Night Raw on Netflix that he was going to be coming back next week. I could be wrong about that, but I would probably stake my reputation on it.
And if he wants to do the Hollywood thing, you got to have that last strong babyface run, or like in The Rock's case, heel run. But even Cena, Rock, they all had, before they really dove into Hollywood, they had that one last big run in WWE. I know the bloodline thing, but he's kind of cooled off since he lost the title to Cody. I think that he needs that. Like, that's why I was saying, in his mind, he needs to come back and take over WWE. It's the babyface, because remember, people didn't like him as the babyface the first time. It took him to be a heel, to be a cool tribal chief, before people started liking and respecting him. Now he actually has the chance to be a good babyface where people will be behind him. That will catapult you into Hollywood. And I think he's got to know that. So what I'm saying is I think we're going to get one more awesome run of Roman Reigns to catapult him to that next level of Hollywood entertainment.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see how it goes. Go ahead, Gino.
Yeah, and it's funny. City by the Bay points out that Monday it will be June. Time is flying by. So, and I think Roman Reigns, or the guy who plays him, he either was cast or he's heavily rumored to be cast in the new Street Fighter movie that they're going to be making. So either he's been auditioning or working on something like. I doubt he's just sitting at home kicking his feet up. But as a WWE fan who doesn't see them on our television, that's kind of what we put in our head, that they're just not doing anything.
I know he filmed a couple scenes in a movie with Keanu Reeves. That hasn't come out yet. They must really be doing
not that I had seen.
Yeah,
not that I had seen.
I don't know if that's like one of those Amazon only type movies and it doesn't hit theaters, but it looked pretty cool. Keanu Reeves. It was like a heist movie. Figured Roman probably played like a thief boss or something like that. But I think he filmed some of that after WrestleMania 40 when he lost to Cody. So I've been waiting for that too. But sometimes it takes a couple of years. It takes a couple of years for certain things to come out. All right, Big G, I'm going to pass it over to you now before you. I don't know what you're doing over there.
I just looked it up. So this the one with Keanu Reeves is supposed to be coming out. Post production said expected October 17th of this year.
Good.
And
if it's there was some few scenes, I want to see it.
And then apparently he's doing a movie with Eddie Murphy.
See, they're coming. They're starting. I mean, if these are true,
let me
the
see,
whole Street Fighter rumor, right? We'll see.
Well, yeah, he's heavily.
If he lands a Street Fighter gig, then he's got a shot to make it. I mean, at least like a Batista level.
Yeah.
There's Batista a movie turned into a real serviceable actor, though.
Yeah.
He's put in the time.
There's a movie with him.
The chops. I don't think Roman's at that level yet, though.
No, we haven't. I mean, he's only been in Hobbs and Shaw and fighting scenes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got to definitely see some work for sure.
Yeah. And apparently he's doing a scene with Eddie Murphy in a movie that's supposed to come out on Prime in August.
Well, like I said, if he wants to catapult Big G, he's got to have that one more monster run in WWE.
Right.
That's how it works.
Yeah. So Roman being gone, I mean, it kind of sucks, but like we got to think about it. He had literally the whole company on the back of his shoulder for 4 straight years. He brought us, like Gino said, he brought us through the pandemic era, and being a champion, whether real or fake, doing all these interviews and doing all this promotion stuff for your company has to put some kind of, I don't want to say mental stress on you, but has to like put something on you. So like, yeah, he lost the title to Cody at WrestleMania 40 last year, and he was gone, and then he came back for a little bit, fought solo for the Ula Fala, did war games and stuff like that, and left. But me personally, I think he wants to spend more time with his family, and he thinks his career is winding down. And I would like to see one final run, with Roman Reigns, but I don't think it needs to be for the title or anything like that. With him being champion for 4 years, I think he has the longest title run in modern era history. So I feel like he kind of wants to wind down, spend time with his family, because I know he's got 2 girls or 1 daughter or whatever. And you don't want to miss those moments of your child growing up, because they're always on the road.
He's got a bunch of them.
So, then, he wants to try, with Dwayne being so successful in Hollywood and Batista and Cena, he wants to take that route to see where he wants to go. And like you said, he was in Hobbs and Shaw. He was in another movie. He did a scene on a Netflix movie, The Wrong Missy or whatever. So he's had some scenes in Hollywood, and I think he wants to take that direction. With Hollywood, it's not. It is a. You do have to take some time off from your family to film scenes and stuff like that. But you film your scenes and then you go back back home. It's not like WWE. Okay, we got Raw, we got SmackDown, we got to do. Well, house shows seem to be calming down a lot lately. I haven't seen any house shows lately, but then you got your PLEs. You gotta, on the days you don't have matches, you gotta do interviews. You gotta do this and that, and I feel like it's just starting to wear him down a little bit. So,
Gino, thanks, Big G. Gino,
Yeah. We hear this time and time again, whether it's on Dark Side of the Ring, like Aaron mentioned, or whether it's seeing somebody like Sabu go out on his Shield. Like, there's nothing that scratches this itch of immediate, instantaneous feedback to your performance, like being in a WWE ring or any wrestling ring, or any of the guys who retired from competitive sports. And I do feel like, yes, Roman should try out the things that he's interested in, but if he can still go, like yes, you want to be with your kids and all that stuff, but like, you're not going to get that time back. You're not going to get your athleticism back. You're not going to get your youth back. And I mean, there's a reason Cena doesn't have kids, right? I feel like I don't want him to regret the amount of time that he's taking off, because I think that as fans of this product, I don't want to say suffering because it's not the right word, but we are getting less entertainment with him not at one of these shows.
remember fans would chant, "Go away." Now a majority want him back all the time when he's not there. So full circle.
OTC still
All right,
chants
Aaron,
everywhere.
over to you, and I see you got super chats, and I'll be right back. But go ahead.
Yeah, Psycho Jet Black has arrived. Psycho Jet Black is here. Psycho Jet Black sent in $2. So thank you, Psycho Jet Black, saying, imagine Roman Reigns cutting his hair and shaving his face. What if he pulled a Big G and shaved off his trademark beard?
I mean, you never know, if a certain role asks for it in Hollywood.
I will say this. The day Roman Reigns cuts his hair, that's probably a sign that he's on his way out. And I will say this about Roman Reigns. I think there's still more for him to do, but at the same time, I do feel like he is starting to wind down his career. He still has a few big matches left. I do think he'll be back for SummerSlam. He's probably going to feud with Seth Rollins. They got to do Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. I mean, quite frankly, CM Punk might not be around much longer. He might be retiring in a couple of years. They got to do CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. And I'd like to see Roman Reigns versus The Rock. I'm not getting my hopes up on it. Maybe we'll get Roman Reigns versus John Cena before Cena retires. I think Roman Reigns does have like one more good year, but he's got a lot of options now in Hollywood. He's got more opportunities. And Psycho Jet Black sent in $2, said, imagine Roman Reigns in Star Wars or Marvel or DC or horror. Gino, what do you think? Which is the most likely of those four?
I think the most likely is going to be probably Marvel, but I would love to see him as like your Darth Maul, which is Star Wars thing, like a Sith, like a badass, not a lot of talking, just more emoting with your face and type of stuff. Put over your, doesn't require a whole lot of thespian style acting, but I could see something really intimidating with his. He could do a great job with that. I think wherever he goes and whatever he does, because you don't have to pick and choose, you could do all of them.
Yeah.
And I'll be there to watch it, like what you said, even if it's for a scene.
I would want suspense action. Like if this thing with Keanu Reeves and he really impresses a lot of people, I'd love for there to be some John Wick reboot. I know there's a new John Wick story. They're branching stuff
Ballerina,
off. He would be perfect
awesome
in a future movie like that. Like, perfect.
Dude, if the rumors are true for the Street Fighter, him as Akira, holy
that too.
cow! Like that, him alone playing that character will make that movie 10 times better than the '94 Street Fighter movie.
The concern I have, though, is I think they also are rumoring casting Jason Momoa, and those guys, you could survey 100 people on the street. Not a lot of people are going to be able to tell them two apart.
Younger, but Jason Momoa looks a little different as he's getting older.
Yeah.
Like Roman looks like Jason Momoa used to look. So maybe it could work.
Okay.
And that's just my take.
Whatever it would be, we'd all be there to watch it, I bet. So
Yep. Aaron?
All right, we got one more here from Psycho Jet Black, and then I guess we'll be going back to AEW for a moment. Psycho Jet Black sent in $5. He says, I want Roman Reigns to cut a promo on Dwayne Johnson not being there for the fans and how Roman Reigns earned the fans' respect without him, and reference the 2015 Royal Rumble. Well, I think that if they ever do that match, Roman Reigns can definitely use that for a promo to hype up a match against The Rock. I'm still not ruling out that they'll do that match. We just don't know what is happening with The Rock and what his schedule is. And now with Roman Reigns' schedule, it feels like it's a long shot now. But as they say in wrestling, never say never. Goldberg was wrestling matches into his 50s, so you never know. It just feels like it's less likely with every year that passes by, and they may have passed the peak of it. But as good as those two are, I think they could pull it off. They could get people invested and make people care, even if it's past when it would have been at its peak. I still think it would be a big deal if they ever did that match. So we'll see what happens with that. Anybody have an opinion on The Rock? Do you think there's a chance?
Not until I see him again.
Fair enough.
Not until it's billed with him in the actual match. I could see him again, and I still wouldn't believe anything. So,
all right. Now, Psycho Jet Black wants us to imagine Roman Reigns in a comedy or historical drama.
Oh God!
Well, Cena pulls off some fun. Cena pulled off comedy stuff pretty good.
Yeah.
Rock has, Batista has to a degree. God. So that, yeah, I'll never say never. I'd want to see the serious stuff first.
Yeah.
I think with The Rock's historical Martin Scorsese drama that he's got, where he's playing that kingpin on the Hawaiian island, I think for some reason my mind just keeps going to Roman could probably be in Moana 2 as one of the side characters on the island, something like that. Like he'd be very good as a historical drama and anything that might involve a smaller role taking place on like talking about one of those islands.
Yeah. I mean, there's possibilities. I mean, we'll see what he can come up with as far as landing some movie roles. You know, one thing at a time. He's got to branch out and see what roles become available. All right, we got a couple of AEW questions here. So first of all, going back to John Moxley, Psycho Jet Black wanted to know, is John Moxley really a draw for the AEW audience? I would say he's a draw to the core audience, but beyond that, no, I don't think he's bringing in any new viewers. Maybe when AEW started, he did, but by now, I think a lot of people are over Moxley.
I liked him more as Dean Ambrose, to be honest. I thought he brought more character to Dean Ambrose than John Moxley. John Moxley, feel like he's like this guy who's obsessed with violence who wants to bleed every damn show.
Yeah, and I don't even know like what he's saying in his promos. He's always ranting, and I feel like with Dean Ambrose, it was a little bit more defined what his character was.
Dude, I'll tell you, like way back when the Shield was really young, you know, the FCW NXT days, but into that first year of the Shield, I'm like, I like ranked it Ambrose, Reigns, and Rollins and Reigns. And I remember that. I thought Ambrose was going to be this. You know, I could see the writing on the wall with Reigns and Vince, but now it's clearly been Reigns and Rollins, and then Ambrose just really in WWE wasn't even anywhere in their league. I know he was still WWE champion, but I was wrong. See, I'll admit when I was wrong. I was wrong with that one.
A lot of us felt the same way. I remember in 2013, people were thinking Moxley was going to be the breakout star of the group, even though there were some that said, well, Roman Reigns, he kind of has the Vince look and everything, but people are high on Ambrose. And, you know, there's stuff that he's done that I've liked in AEW, but some of his promos I'm not the biggest fan of. And the Death Riders, I think has turned off more people. I've read some comments. People are starting to say they've turned around on the Death Riders. I don't think I would go that far, but I did enjoy Anarchy in the Arena, and they lost, so maybe that's why I enjoyed it. If they won, maybe I would have hated it. Who knows? All right, we got a couple more here. Richard Crow sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it. Says, does AEW differ from 2000 WCW? If so, how? Virtue, you're a Vince Russo guy. I mean, they're not the same product. I don't
No,
think.
WCW 2000 was Crash TV. AEW is just matches and performance. So they're very, very different. And make fun. And again, the model was different back then. So more fans watch wrestling on TV because that's really how you had to watch it. Even secondary WCW in 2000 was still getting a few million, like 3.5 million people watching it. Although WWE was crushing them, but yeah, they're definitely not similar at all. And remember, Russo wasn't even there all of 2000. It was like 5 months, and then he left, and then whoever else took over. So it was just a mosh posh of different directions.
Yeah.
And you could say AEW is like that, but with matches, just random feuds and stuff like that. But they're still different. Like,
yeah,
I mean, we're still talking about WCW 2000 for worse than better, but AEW the last 5-6 years, for the most part, it's blended into me. Like, I remember a few things, but like it just blends in.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. That's just me.
I feel like it's more like ECW / New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's like trying to do the wrestling that they do in New Japan, but do all the pushing the envelope and hardcore matches that they were doing in ECW, trying to fuse those two together. More of that than WCW. I felt AEW was more like WCW in the beginning. It kind of had a little bit of a WCW Nitro feel when you had all the chaos at the end of the show and, people brawling all over the place. The unpredictability that WCW had when it was at its peak, I don't feel that with AEW now. Like, the shows feel predictable for the most part, but they're still going out there doing the hardcore matches. But you expect that when you watch an AEW show, you're going to get great wrestling. You're going to get all the violence and the blood and everything. So it's like, it's all coming now. It's not really a surprise anymore. That's the problem.
Big G's got a cat butthole in his face.
Cat butt cameo. Which one is that?
Joker.
Joker is joking around here, I see. All right, well, here you go, Virtue. Get ready to call somebody a mark. He did super chat, so I thank him for super chatting before Virtue goes off on him. Roger B sent in $2 and said, unpopular opinion here, but I'm enjoying 2025 AEW over WWE.
But, okay, unpopular opinion to people that don't like AEW or that watch WWE more. You probably like AEW more, so it's easy for you to say that. Like, I mean, I'm not going to say mark. Like, yeah, you're a mark for AEW. That's fine. There are obviously people that like AEW, right? And to no end, and that's fine. And there's just people that like WWE, and you do have a few that might like both or don't like either, right? But I'm not shocked by somebody saying that.
No, it's all art at the end of the day. And we all perceive it differently. We can all enjoy different aspects of it. We're not going to yuck on anybody's yum here. Roger, if you like that more, good for you. I would personally disagree with that, but I'm happy that you're enjoying it for sure.
And look, and if anything, I can piggyback off that, Big G. Like, maybe he's onto something. I mean, really, Reigns hasn't been around that much in 2025. Yeah. Therefore, okay. He'd probably be like, I don't like him anyway.
I mean, there's so much wrestling content out there. You don't have to watch WWE or AEW. There's so much wrestling out there that you could just watch something on the Indies, TNA, New Japan, Ring of Honor, Stardom, whatever you want to watch. There's so much crap out there that you don't have to watch AEW or WWE. So,
yeah, I mean, there's more than there's ever been in a very long time, at least. I would say arguably ever, because now with digital media, there's easier access to more wrestling than there ever has been in the past.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what your own personal taste is. But yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people that like AEW and think they're on the rise, and I hope they can bring in more fans, because I definitely want to see the business continue to grow and see AEW be competitive with WWE. And I just don't know what it's going to take for them to do that. They seem content with what they're doing now, and it works for a limited audience, but yeah, it's struggling to bring in new viewers. I want to see Caitlyn get interested in AEW, and she's usually not watching too much. She might glance up at it every once in a while. She kind of likes the Hurt Syndicate, but she wouldn't even admit it in the chat room. But beyond that, like it hasn't really captivated her much. And I want to see her become a fan again. I want to see her dad, who used to check out AEW, watch again. And
dude, and part of me, like, right, I like when Jericho was a champion those first several months, and then it kind of came out that Tony Khan was doing all the booking and this and that, and then that's where I was like, ugh. But then Punk came along, and I might have still talked how I talk, but I was still kind of like,
and listen,
what's Punk doing lately?
Listen,
I was keeping more of an eye on it, so they pulled me in before.
Yeah, some people are like, well, AEW is good. Why do you want to see them? You just care about the business. The thing is, if AEW does better, it forces WWE to put out a better product, and both companies are trying to put out the best product, and they'll take more risks. So it's actually a better show when you don't know what's going to happen. The problem is WWE gets comfortable. They have their formula, and for me, the shows get boring sometimes.
And look what happened, Aaron. AEW came about. Then next thing you know, the pandemic happened, but Roman and Heyman joined together. Oh my God. And then what happened after that? AEW brought Punk in. There was like, oh my God, look at that's what we need. We need that. And both companies need to feed off each other instead of WWE clearly doesn't worry about AEW other than, hey, what talent can we bring over to push to the main event of WrestleMania? But AEW needs to, you're not in a war. Stay in your lane, do your thing, make people interested like you have had at times in the past, and try to get new fans and not just your hardcore fans, because it's happened before. Gino?
Yeah. So first of all, nobody can ever say that we don't talk AEW, because we spent a lot of time on AEW. But we got to remember, no matter what the industry is, competition is better for the consumer. So when AEW is competitive-ish with WWE, we are, as fans of wrestling as a whole, are better off for that. So.
Yeah, and it's hard to explain this to somebody that didn't live through the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars, because during that period, like, it was so much fun to watch the shows. And when you would tune into Raw or Nitro, you didn't know what was going to happen. Like, every week was something different, and anything could happen. And that's what I really miss about wrestling. Even though WWE's doing great business and AEW puts out great matches and pay-per-views, I still miss the unpredictability of wrestling when I could tune in and have no idea what's going to happen.
And Aaron, it's something as simple as, if you had Tony Khan, if AEW had Brock Lesnar show up on their show, and F5 Kenny Omega or Will Ospreay, and next thing you know, in a stadium at an all-in, one of the big events, Lesnar versus one of their top stars, you tell me I'm not going to pay $50 to see that, or whatever, Big G on the app where you can get a discount on one of those apps. Yeah. I would be telling Aaron, this is the first AEW pay-per-view I'm buying.
Brock Lesnar,
I'm sure there's other people too. It's not likely that they'd ever leave where they're at. So I'm trying to think of somebody that Tony Khan could realistically get without any Vince McMahon in WWE. Lesnar could entice showing up somewhere to do a program, but it would have to be that would pull me in. Like, I would totally need to see Lesnar in AEW. That would to me be interesting.
That'd be funny.
An example.
Yeah, just imagine long-haired Lesnar coming out to AEW.
Dude, just comes out, and again, I don't know if he could use his music, but I'm sure they could pick something that's catchy, because Tony Khan will pay a license, and then Brock comes out, and F5's like one of their top stars. Just instantly entertained to me, and I'm in. I want to watch the show he's going to be on. What's going to happen next? Where is this going? And I'm sure there's somebody else you could do that with too, but it's just always the same type of workers or not big stars. Like, I know they brought in several WWE people, but it's not the level of the ones that I would draw me in and other people.
Yeah.
You tell me a lot of people that hate AEW would not tune in to check Brock Lesnar out there.
It would draw me back to watching
AEW. If Shane McMahon would have been on their TV, I would have been interested, because I would have wanted. Now, if it was all like with the Death Rider stuff, I would have fizzled out fairly quickly, but I would have been interested to see what happened.
Yeah.
McMahon, Khan, Lesnar, Omega,
Yeah.
That's simple. And you don't have to do it forever. Sign up for a year. Anyway.
All right, we got a super chat here from Hamp Connell. And by the way, Hamp, we got to get you on the No DQ review. It's long overdue.
I thought Gino was going to set that up.
I do have it set up for
Oh, okay.
next week. He had other obligations that came up last minute for the last one. So we are in talks. We are getting it set up depending on what day it is next week. But we will be getting him on. He's contacting me.
It's Tuesday, isn't it, Aaron?
Yeah,
Is it Tuesday next week? Okay.
Come
We're
Tuesday.
coming right back. 4 days.
Yep. So we're going to try to get Hamp on. Hamp's been very critical of WWE, so I'm looking forward to that. You know, we can maybe get a good discussion going, get some heated debate. Hamp said, and thank you, Hamp, for the super chat. Speaking of WCW 2000, today in history, 2000, WCW had 3 different champions on one Nitro when Kevin Nash handed the belt to Ric Flair, who lost it to Jeff Jarrett.
And Big G went wild. Oh, there goes my feed. You
What?
can hear me. You can still hear me though, right?
Yeah.
All right, good. I'm just going to leave it like that as long as you can hear me.
Okay. Well, you know what? While I'm not the biggest fan of the constant title changes and Crash TV, I'd like to see that every once in a while, like do a double title change in one night or something absolutely crazy like that. They don't do stuff like that. That's one of the things I was talking about with making the shows unpredictable. You know, we never get a world title change on TV anymore. How about that for once? Change the world title. Now everybody's just doing the 6 month to 1 year title reigns, and it kind of gets boring after a while. Like, I want to see somebody lose it on their first defense. You know, change things up a little bit. Not go to the extreme of WCW 2000, but I'd like to see the belt swap, you know, between 2 wrestlers. You know, one guy wins it, then the other guy wins it back next match, and then the other guy wins it back again. You know, you can hot potato the title a little bit, but not too much. You got to find the right balance of it. But yeah, shake things up a little bit every once in a while.
I mean, because Ian just brought it up, did Io winning it on Raw that one night against Rhea, did that not shock you?
That I mean, I liked that. I definitely want to see more stuff like that.
Okay, because like nobody in the world thought that Rhea was going to lose to Io. So
exactly,
that was that shock value.
Gino, anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I will say, based on the super chat, the last time that WWE did something anywhere close to that, wasn't that all 3 Shield members, the 2 that were in the match lost it, and then Ambrose cashed in to get it, and they had all held it on the same night or something like that.
Yeah.
And if people want to argue that that is bad for a wrestler to lose the title so quickly, that didn't hurt Seth. It didn't hurt Roman. It didn't hurt Ambrose at the time. I mean, him going to AEW might have hurt him, but like, so you can do it, and it doesn't have to bury, you know, the guy or the gal who loses it. So
because Roman had it, then Rollins won it, and then Ambrose cashed in on him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you book it correctly, people don't have to look weak in defeat. And I feel like now we feel like a loss is like a death blow, and it's like it's really not.
I think with social media, people have just like ruined wrestling. Like, because as soon as like, oh, you know, Karrion Kross, for example, the man's not been on TV. I mean, he's on TV, but they still haven't like pushed him yet. So, you know.
All right, so we're caught up, Virtue. Welcome back.
All right,
we can go ahead and wrap this up.
Let's do our final word, Gino.
Yeah, as always, guys, thank you so much for having me on. Honored to be here, Aaron. I don't know if you have the plug. We can throw that up, guys. If you want to catch me on my channel on YouTube, it's PapaGino0017. Just throw that into the search bar. You'll find me there. Subscribe. You'll see this logo. I'm doing my Major Push Wrestling podcast on Wednesdays at 8, talking all the movies I'm seeing, live streaming some Rocket League. Come check me out. Throw a subscribe. It would mean a lot.
Thank you, Gino. All right, Big G. That was a short retirement.
The shortest retirement ever in NoDQ history.
Mark Henry, swerve.
Right?
You still got gas left in the tank.
I still got gas left. So Harley and Joker 2021 on YouTube. X NoDQ _ Big Baller G. TikTok, Big Baller G 1988 until it gets banned again. Instagram NoDQ _ Big Baller G 1988. And yes, the Fox and the Poppy is still available on Amazon. And her next book, Harmony Under the Sea, is still in the works. that should be coming out later, possibly sometime in June. So look out for that. But yeah, shortest retirement ever, and happy to be back.
Thank you. As long as Jeff Jarrett's doing it, Big G will be doing it. All right, Aaron.
All right. Well, great stream tonight. And there we go. Big G, you're back. So this graphic also refuses to go out of retirement. Big G in awe of Double J Jeff Jarrett, the last outlaw in AEW. So guys, check out the Roundtable and Wrestling's Hottest Audacious Takes. A new episode of the No DQ Roundtable will be up this weekend, and it will, in fact, be about AEW. What can be done to make AEW more competitive with WWE? And nobody knows what the others said. I edited all the clips together, so you'll get to hear what everybody thought about that. Check that out on the No DQ channel, and that's it for now. Virtue, let's go ahead and go home with this one.
We'll make it short and sweet. NoDQ.com/merch. You get shirts like this. And go to x.com if you dare at NoDQ_virtue. But that is it for the NoDQ review 337 special on a Thursday night. It looks like we'll be back Tuesday night at 7. Gino will be hosting or moderating. Aaron hosts. But that is it for Aaron Riff, for Big Baller G, for Gino, and the whole NoDQ crew and galaxy. Good night, everybody. We'll see you again soon.